What's up, Jets fans? It's Christian from the Jets Report, and today we're going to be back at it discussing probably my favorite position group on the team, the offensive line. And just before we start talking about anything about the Jets' offensive line, I just want to talk about how much I value, and I know how much Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas value the importance of the offensive line. I mean, everything starts from the offensive line. The whole offense is ran around it, and sometimes it gets overlooked a lot, and clearly the Jets have overlooked it a lot, because when's the last time we've spent meaningful draft picks on O-linemen? I mean, it's got to be DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, and Nick Mangold, which was over like a decade ago. So now we finally brought it back. We're finally getting guys in, Becton, AVT, Morgan Moses, and I'm super excited about this new look offensive line. But let's track back a little bit and talk about what were the issues with last year's O-line and how we fixed them and what the issues really caused. So looking at that, the interior offensive line play last year was absolutely horrendous. I mean, guys like Alex Lewis, Greg Van Roen, Connor McGovern had an underwhelming season, and you could really see that just by looking at the pressure that Sam Darnold had to deal with. I mean, I felt like it was right up the middle, gut punches every play, first, second, third down, and it led to a lot of 3-and-outs, and it was really frustrating watching just like power running right up the middle through that interior offensive line and just going nowhere. And it was really frustrating watching that. I know I feel bad for Sam. A lot of Jets fans can attest to this. It was just not a good look seeing Sam getting rushed every play, and it really hindered his development. And I personally think, and I know a lot of people probably agree with this, that offensive line construction was probably the main reason why Sam Darnold played so poorly in his tenure in New York. Because I feel like every single play, every single reason, every outcome starts with the offensive line. So just looking to what we do now, we get new additions: Elijah Vera Tucker, Morgan Moses, and we even add a rotational guy like Dan Feeney, who I absolutely love. Saw him at training camp, great mullet. I mean, he's a baller. I love him. But those two additions of AVT and Morgan Moses are absolutely crucial. AVT, line him up next to Makai Becht, our best offensive lineman from last year. That left side of the O-line is secured. I love it. I love investing in a guy like AVT. I'm hoping he could be our guard for the next 10 years. And I love investing high draft picks because, like I said, it reminds me of the Nick Mangold, the Brickashaw Ferguson days. And our franchise quarterback's left side of the O-line is already better than Sam Darnold's left side of the O-line will ever be. And hopefully that left side brick wall, whatever you want to call it, is going to be locked up for the next 10 years. And now moving on to another free agent signing later in the offseason, the one I absolutely loved, Morgan Moses. I mean, Morgan Moses he's basically the model of consistency and the model of great play. I mean, I saw a stat where I don't think he's missed a game since like 2016 or something crazy like that. I mean, he just consistently plays games. He's tough. And everyone talks about Makai Becht being huge. But Morgan Moses, seeing him at training camp, he's like 6'6" himself. Absolute monster. I mean, very similar in weight to Becton. And those two cornerstones, the right and left tackle, are just going to be amazing. As everyone knows, the right side of the O-line wasn't great, but adding Morgan Moses really gives the right side of the O-line a boost, and maybe even a little competitive nature between the left and right side of the O-line, just making iron sharpens iron, making the whole team better. I mean, I absolutely love that, just that from a competition standpoint. But all the Jets fans this year are going to absolutely love Morgan Moses, and personally, I see Morgan Moses as like a top 3 free agent signing from Joe Douglas, maybe even top 2. I mean, they got him for so cheap late in the offseason, and I feel like he's going to be a great player for the Jets at the right tackle position. And I feel like we have our 2 bookend tackles, which are absolutely amazing. Now going on to like some of the other starters, I named the free agent additions, but just going on the other starters, obviously we have Makai Becht. Absolute monster, 6'7", 364. I saw him in person. Like I said before, he is an absolute beast, an absolute mauler. I mean, he's huge. He was just moving guys in drills. I sat right in front of the offensive line drills, and I just saw Becht handling guys. It was just absolutely amazing to watch. After his rookie season, it's not even that far-fetched to say he's a top 5, top 7 offensive tackle in the league. I mean, he is that good, that great. That athleticism mixed with like that toughness, I absolutely love it. And he's going to be our cornerstone at the offensive line position. Great pick by Joe Douglas a year ago, and it's really paying off now, and it's going to pay off for Zach Wilson in the future. Now moving on, we also got Connor McGovern at center. Obviously, he got signed to that big deal. I'm pretty sure he's getting paid $10 million a year, which is a lot of money for a center. and he definitely underwhelmed last year. I mean, I know he did deal with injuries. He said that in a press conference recently, and he felt like he didn't really fit the scheme because he's more of like coming from Denver. He was a lot of like zone blocking, West Coast offense system, and it so happens that's what LaFleur and Saleh are bringing over this year. So I think it's very key to keep your eye on Connor McGovern throughout the preseason, week 1, and throughout the season. I think this system fits him well, and I think he's going to show flashes of how he played in Denver. Because in Denver, he was arguably like a top 10 center. I mean, he was definitely above average. He was definitely very solid, and the starter that you don't really have to worry about. You could just plug him in and say, all right, that's my guy. He's going to be great. So I'm really looking forward to him at the center position, kind of forming some chemistry with Zach Wilson as well. And I honestly think he's going to have a huge bounce-back year and kind of be that fourth solid piece of the O-line and just really solidify up front. Now moving on to right guard, everyone knows it's arguably our most questionable. It's definitely our most questionable position at the offensive line, I would say. Right now, I have Greg Van Roten starting just because he's a veteran. He's been around the block a lot. I mean, he's a solid guy. He's never going to be great, but he's a solid guy, and I think that he's going to be the starter. I mean, there are guys in the running like Cam Clark. I know he just had a devastating injury today to his neck, so aside from football, I'm really hoping he recovers and maybe he gets back on the field soon, but just really hoping he's doing good health-wise just in general. And then you also have Alex Lewis, Dan Feeney, guys like Chuma Adoga. I don't really see them starting. They could. Alex Lewis could maybe make a push, but I think Van Roten's it's his job to lose right now, and I think he will be the starter week 1. So that just rounds out all the starters. Just to recap, we have Becton at left tackle, Vera Tucker at left guard, McGovern at center, Van Roten at right guard, and Moses at right tackle. And now moving on to some of the depth pieces. A guy I actually absolutely love is George Fant. I mean, he did an admirable job playing right tackle last year, and I honestly think if he was our starting right tackle this year, I would be comfortable, but because Morgan Moses is coming in, it's less likely. And it seems like Fant's going to go back to the role he played in Seattle where he was a swing tackle, which I'm absolutely fine with because first of all, he knows that role. He's comfortable in that role. But also depth is so important, especially if he's a guy like Makai Becht's dealing with the plantar fasciitis and he had injuries in his rookie season. I mean, hopefully, obviously, he doesn't get injured. But just in case, you have a guy like George Fant who could slot in at left tackle or play right tackle and really fill in for Becton, and you don't really have to worry about it too much. Obviously, it's going to be a downgrade, but it's not like your whole offensive line is going to get beat and Zach Wilson's blind side is going to get killed if you lose Becton because you could trust a guy like Fant. So that's a guy I absolutely love, and that's one of the reasons I love this offensive line so much. Not only do we have cornerstones and key starters, we also add to our depth, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that because I know they like to rotate guys in and out, and that depth is going to be really useful. Just going on, a couple more rotational guys. Dan Feeney, I mentioned him earlier just as like a free agent acquisition. He did get a lot of playing time for the Chargers. He has starting experience in the NFL. So I could see him playing a good rotational role, especially at right guard because Van Roten is not a sure thing. He might get injured. And you could definitely see Dan Feeney out on the field this year. And, I mean, if he's out there, he's not going to be the best guy, but I feel like he could do an admirable job. I'm hoping that he really shows that the Jets got a steal in free agency and maybe he surprises all of us. But I don't know too much of what to expect from him. But, I mean, listen, he's a great depth piece, and I know he brings a great energy and a great culture to the locker room. So I absolutely love guys like that and a great depth piece. Lastly, we got guys like Alex Lewis, another interior offensive lineman. Jets fans know him from last year. I mean, not the best guy. He had a couple decent games, and he strung together some decent starts. But then he had issues with Adam Gase, and it kind of went downhill. But now that we got Saleh in there, maybe he changes. He's got a change of heart, change of energy. And maybe he goes out there and fights for the right guard position as well. But he's also just a great depth piece who has experience starting for the Jets. And that's always great to have guys like that. And lastly, I want to go over kind of like a sleeper wild card guy, Tristan Hodges, undrafted free agent out of BYU. He plays mainly the guard position. He has a lot of familiarity with Zach Wilson. Obviously, they played their college ball together. And I really look to see him how he moves up the depth chart. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to start right away. But if you see a guy like Van Roten starting to struggle, there's some injuries, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Hodge in there, and I think he could do a great job. I know he definitely had the ability to get drafted this year. He kind of just fell through the cracks, and the draft board didn't really fall in his favor. But, I mean, really look at Tristan Hodges. You're going to see him in the preseason a lot, so really look at him. And that's all I really got for you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on this offensive line? And just really anything about Jets. So thanks for watching, and as always, go Jets.